IRCC may be stalking you on social media. My name is Olena Weber, and this is Cory Weber, and we're
Hello.
both licensed immigration consultants. And today we're talking about how IRCC is stalking immigrants and their employers on social media.
Mhm.
So let's talk about that. We were just talking about this with Cory because we have been receiving a couple of notes from our clients, and those notes were indicating that IRCC is checking LinkedIn profiles and Google Maps for employers. So, Cory, what express entry applicants should be aware of when they're filing express entry application in terms of IRCC checking their
Yeah.
digital footprint?
Yeah, for sure. So right away, you're claiming work experience for express entry, whether it's Canadian, foreign, whatever it might be. So number one, your LinkedIn, right? If you have a LinkedIn account and you have your work experience up there, obviously the government will be able to see it. And if you have something different from what you are submitting for your express entry on your LinkedIn, of course that could raise a red flag, right? Like you say, oh, I've been working here for 2 years or wherever, and something totally different on the LinkedIn. Of course, that can be a huge red flag. That's the first thing. Also, as Elena said, Google, it's a huge thing that they use. So if you're, especially like with foreign experience included, if you're claiming something for foreign experience or Canadian for that matter, they will literally Google the company and Google the location, like right down to the street view. And we've had clients in the past and multiple cases where they've done that and they've noticed it's a residential house, and then that's a big red flag because if it's a company, why is it a residential house? And so we've had to actually respond to those in the past, even when it was legit, like the company was run out of the house. We still had to explain that and prove that it was that was the way it was. So definitely location wise, even for foreign experience, they can Google it. They can call the number that you've put down as a reference number or as a company number, right? So just be
Yeah, and
aware of
actually,
those things.
we've
Yeah.
been seeing we started practicing 8 years ago, and in the beginning of my practice, IRCC used to call express entry applicants and their employers, and they would like literally call. An officer would have a conversation either with the applicant or with the employer. I've seen both cases. Then what happened is that around 2019, they stopped doing that, and they never called really. Now in 2024, 2025, we're seeing the pickup of that. So IRCC started calling employers again. So we're back to those good old days when IRCC is really vetting all the work experiences and having like actual interviews with your employer.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So it's something to definitely be careful with if you're using like any kind of employment. Just consider that it will be vetted, it will be checked, and obviously, if you're using anything kind of shady, that would be a huge problem for your application for sure. So be
Well,
careful.
obviously,
Yeah,
yes. We're trying to minimize any obviously fraud, and that's why RCC is doing it, which is a
yeah,
good thing because
of course.
that prevents fraudulent applicants from entering the system and potentially even taking place of applicants that have legit
And
experiences,
or yeah, deserve it. Yeah, exactly.
deserve it, right? So it's a good thing, but those genuine work experiences and genuine applicants, they just need to be aware of and maybe talk to your employer and say like, hey, IRCC can call you, or they would Google your employer yourself and see
Yeah,
if it looks good, right? Because
exactly. Yeah.
if it's not listed on like yellow pages or Google Maps, it may
Yeah.
be a concern.
Yeah, recently we also had someone they were claiming Canadian experience and the business actually closed down. And it was also a red flag because, and he had claimed his work experience. They Googled the company and the business like didn't show up because the company had shut down at that location. And so, we could have gotten out ahead of it and probably explained that like, hello, we understand that this location is not yet, no longer in service, but it was a legitimate experience. So just Google your own company, talk to your employer, make sure that they're aware that they could have a phone call, they could have a IRCC checking up on them for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, no, for sure. And then now, when it comes to, for example, spousal sponsorship applications, so those are very different than Express Entry because
Yeah,
Express Entry, IRCC is looking for most likely those work experiences that are not genuine. When spousal sponsorship, they're looking into different things and more into
exactly.
relationships.
Yeah. So that's on like with the respect to the employment, they don't care about that. Obviously, with spousal sponsorship, it has nothing to do with the application, but they are looking at the relationship itself. So if you're using, for example, photos and things like that, they might go online and then check, right? So say, for example, you have an open Instagram account and or Facebook photos or whichever kind of social media, they could potentially go and look at those. And if you have your relationship with this person, and on social media that person doesn't show up at all, or someone different does, and you're holding the hands of someone other person, absolutely that could be a red flag in your application. Like, you don't want to have any problems with like your relationship. So if you do have a true and genuine relationship, then that person who you're sponsoring or being sponsored by, then you should be in each other's photos across all social media platforms. Otherwise, it could be red flags. Yeah, absolutely.
Yes, for sure. And then obviously, I received actually this question also on our Instagram. By the way, follow us on Instagram. So one person was saying that, well, how they can know if all of my pages are private, right?
Yeah, but still, you have like your social media, like you can just Google your name and something will pop up, right? Like,
Exactly. Like
who
this day and
knows?
age, like our digital footprint is just everywhere.
Is so big, yeah, and we don't know what kind of sneaky things they have up their sleeves. You might have a private account. Who knows? They friend you somehow. I'm not sure how, but I would say just be careful with it. Yeah, like either way, even if all your stuff is private, you will have a digital footprint out there of some sort, and they will definitely do their job finding it. All your information, they have access. Yeah.
Yes, for sure. All right. Well, thank you so much, Corey. Guys, I want to invite you, if you're watching this in January 2025, I want to invite you to our webinar that we have with Corey on Thursday, which is January 30th. And this webinar is for people who received invitations to apply and who really need to make sure that they don't get in any sort of trouble and their application has the best chance for success. The link to sign up for a webinar is in the description. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel so we can hit our first 1,000 subscribers.